There once was a man named
Paul,
who was king of the
Fremen.
He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the
desert,
these were the final words he said.
My fortune is yours for the taking, but you'll have to find it first. I left everything I own in
Arrakis.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the
Dune,
searching for
spice,
the treasure that would make their dreams come true.
Yo!
Who are these? So yeah, we had a great talk about Centralia, Pennsylvania, burying all their trash in a coal mine and then lighting it on fire, and hilarity ensued. Words about Dune.
Words about Dune.
I'm Nate, and I'm joined as always by the petty Shah himself, Ben. How's it going, Ben?
I am Petty Shah Emperor Ben Dam the Fourth. And this is my son, Ben Auden.
I think it's your grandson, right?
It's his nephew, but I was trying to simplify things for the reader.
I thought Wincessia was his daughter, and then
no, sister.
Wincessia's what? Okay, well that would explain why the actress playing her looks way older than Arwen.
Just how much Faradin resembled his uncle, the late Shaddam IV.
Oh dear. See the sci-fi version of Children of Dune really ruined this for me, because
you're the only person in the world who has ever based their knowledge of this book off of the Sci-Fi Channel's adaptation of it, so...
Yeah, Faradin was a real nothing burger of a character in that one. And in this one,
Sex ninja.
That's what happens. He's much cooler. He starts out as kind of like, I don't want anything to do with the throne, and then he's like, actually, I want the throne, and also I want to become a sex ninja, so let's do this.
Yeah, arguably, if you could pick any character in this book you would want to be, it is Faradin.
This is true.
Yeah, he definitely comes out with the best fate of any person. So where did we leave off?
Whatever happened to Count Fenring?
I thought Count Fenring was a eunuch. I could be wrong.
He was a eunuch, yes.
I don't know. Didn't he die or something?
He just stopped appearing after the first Dune. But I think he shows up in Paul of Dune, the non-canon adaptation.
Yeah. Oh, careful when you say non-canon. There is somebody who considers it very much canon. But all that aside, yeah. I have no memory of where we left off, even though I just approved the episode.
So let me quickly give you a recap of last time. So we've got the twins, Leto and Ganima. Leto is hiding something from Ganima. Hasn't told her yet. And they have a plan that involves not becoming abominations and also maybe wandering into the desert and fighting some lions? Or tigers?
Tigers.
They're tigers.
They're Laza tigers.
Yes.
Yes, I do remember that. We discussed at length the brilliance of the Laza Tiger plan, but we did not get to its fulfillment, though I did already spoil it in the last episode and say the kids killed the tigers.
Yeah, the tigers devour the children, and then that's the end of them. Very tragic.
Oh, dang, I got honey all over my legs.
So should we skip to their plan? So the kids' plan is that one of them will fake their death. And it's probably going to be Leto.
Leto, who he's been having prophetic dreams, Ben.
I know,
that's
that dangerous.
Last time. That's the thing that he was keeping a secret from even Ganima. He finally comes clean to her, and he sees a place, Ben. What's the place called?
Oh, you don't want to be the one to say it first?
I mean,
or no, you would have seen it in Sci-Fi Dune, yeah.
Chakaratu.
Where did they call it Jakaratu?
I don't know, Ben.
I thought it should
Don't
be
steal my thunder.
Jakarutu.
Jakarutu. God, well, look, the book's not in front of me, Ben. I do the best
Why?
I can, okay?
Why is the book not in front of you?
Because I also have my notes, okay? My notes are
Okay.
more important. Last time also, Alia became an abomination when she was possessed by a fat jiggling man.
Who could he be?
And then the Lady Jessica came back and got insulted to her face multiple times.
Yeah, but Leto did dig himself into a hole with her that he's going to have to dig himself out of at great personal cost. But that comes later.
Yeah, she's gonna give him some of the old space crack.
So, do you know why Leto kept his prophetic visions from Ganima?
I assume it's two reasons, potentially. One, if you could see the future, like, that's bad. That's what happened to Paul. He saw the future so clearly, he locked himself into a future he couldn't escape. And, or two, that shit be leading towards abomination, yo.
I think you basically got it. I take it as mainly the first part where he understands that Paul made a mistake with the prescience and he wants to avoid that mistake. Also, it points to his becoming a true Kwisatz Haderach, and that means the Bene Gesserit will come after him in full force.
Which they were already planning on.
Well, they
coming
already wanted to use him and possibly like continue the breeding program. But if he is a
possibly with
Kwisatz Haderach,
Ganima.
yeah, if he is a Kwisatz Haderach, though, they're going to come at him real hard. So it's important that he pretend not to be for as long as possible.
Yeah, they don't really show up a whole lot in this. It's Jessica's the Lady Jessica. I gotta get her full name in there. She's really the only one that represents them in this book. They're just kind of off there, scheming their schemes.
I don't think they are allowed within, 5 space feet of Dune.
5 space feet.
Light years,
Yeah,
whatever.
To be fair, yes, the last Reverend Mother to come in orbit of Dune was pulled down to the planet, imprisoned, forced to walk a really, really long length to meet with Paul, and then was executed even though Paul told Alia not to.
So, second, what do you think the twins are hoping to achieve by having one of them fake their own death and going in search of Jakarutu? Jakarutu. Of Jakku. Because Star Wars never stopped ripping off Dune.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So, I thought it was because Leto was having prophetic visions of Jakarutu. And so I guess we should probably explain what Jakarutu even is. And I think you're going to have to help me out with this because I was going to put little flourishes, but I have to say Jakarutu so often. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to commit to that.
Yeah, I really don't. So this is a siege that was destroyed in the olden times, right? They would steal water from other Fremen, and so all the Fremen were like, fuck you guys, and they destroyed the siege thoroughly, and then they made it taboo to go out there.
Yeah, Jakarutu was essentially a rogue siege filled with cannibals. When they say steal your water, they don't mean snag your water bottle. They mean huck you in the blender and reduce you to water. And they would do that to other Fremen, which is a no-no, I think. In the first Dune, multiple Fremen threaten to take Paul and Jessica's water, but I think it's okay according to their morality because
they're
Fremen. Outsiders.
Yeah.
But to do that to somebody inside the Fremen culture is unacceptable. And so all the other Sieges banded together and wiped out Jakarut.
And I assume this happened in the before time.
It happened, I think Stilgar says, in his great-great-grandfather's time.
So yeah, several generations ago.
Yeah.
And now it is something different, where I guess smugglers who smuggle spice, you remember them from the first book? No one else does, yes. But they're back.
No, I remember them. I think the smugglers play an important economic role in the Empire. I do think that's true. I think it's important to have spice smugglers so that Han Solo has something to do in the Kessel Run.
This is true. You gotta employ those smugglers. Yeah, so I guess they rebuilt the siege in secret, maybe, and they populate it? Question mark?
So the siege itself wasn't destroyed. I think what happened that night was some, semi-blasphemous murder. I think the Fremen have a lot of rules about recycling, because there is at one point... hear me out. I'm not using it as
you better put the metal in the metal pile, the paper in the paper pile. I swear to God, if you put any of those grocery plastic bags in there, I'll fucking kill you. I will be spilling your water on the sand, sir.
Go Planet! By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
One of Frank Herbert's ecological messages in Dune is recycling. There will come a point in the book where one of the older Fremen remarks how incredibly offensive it is that some of the cities on Arrakis have gotten so soft that they have started building rubbish heaps, because Fremen view everything, every object, every created material as a resource that takes valuable time and effort, and most importantly, water investment. You do not just throw something aside. Everything gets reused.
And newer stillsuit models waste a lot of your water.
Yeah, they're just for show. It's basically just wearing, if somebody were to copy a religious garment just because it looked cool. It's cultural appropriation before we had that term. There was a practical purpose for it.
My still suit is not your fucking prom dress.
Well, I think it's literally for them, the still suit represents so much because of its practical applications, and then to copy it just because that's what you saw the prophet wearing is a shallow reason, and Fremen don't do shallow reasons. But yeah, where I'm going with this is I think spilling water on the sand, spilling blood on the sand is taboo because it is a waste. And I think that's sort of the line of the horrible things that happened at Jakarut that night. I think they killed them in a way that damns the soul. But they did not destroy the siege infrastructure itself. The seals still work. The water, what do they call it? The water catcher.
The wind catch or whatever?
Yeah, the wind catch still works.
The wind trap. I can't remember exactly, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so the smugglers just found an empty working siege. And the Fremen...
Sweet, free siege.
Well, yeah, kind of. The Fremen are an enigma in a lot of ways, and Frank Herbert constantly points that out. They're very traditional, but they innovate where they have to. So the Fremen have all this desert specialized technology that is actually quite advanced, even though in a lot of other ways they might seem primitive to outsiders. No one builds stillsuits as good as Fremen. No one builds siege technology and wind traps. That's what they're called. No one builds wind traps as well as Fremen. So, because this is life and death for them. Not one drop of moisture escapes the siege. So yeah,
and
Jakarutu still
also-
exists.
And also, it's left kind of ambiguous if everyone in Jakaruta was killed, because Leto, as he is approaching it later on, we're going to get there, is thinking that most sieges always have some Fremen out on, like, scouting parties or out of the siege. So, could some of them have escaped the slaughter?
Oh yeah, most assuredly.
And the culture of Jakaruto does live on.
Yes, and there's a second reason Jakarutu is important. But actually, I don't even think it's the second reason. I think it's the primary reason, is that if Paul were to have survived, there is
That's
only
where he'd be.
Yeah, there's only one place he could have gone, and that is to this city that exists in the deep desert that is not allied to any of the mainstream tribes or governments or anything like that. And if anyone can help them, it might be Paul.
Speaking of, they need help from their ancestral memories. Ganima and Leto do. This actually happened before their meeting with Jessica, but whatever. That's the Words About Books experience. We're gonna jump around whenever we fucking feel like it. Plus, it doesn't really change any of that encounter.
I think we did mention this.
I don't
If
think
you're going to
so.
talk about the parent game, I mentioned it.
They play the parent game, where Leto is going to assume the role of Paul, and Ganima is going to play the role of their mom, and I'm going to put in a little skit right here. Alright, I'll be dad and you be mom. Be careful. You're more prone to possession than I am for some reason. Alright. Did it work?
Hey, honey, what would you like for breakfast?
Breakfast? Breakfast. What greater symptom of the fall of man is there than breakfast? If you look closely at breakfast, you find yourself asking the necessary questions. What is breakfast? It isn't just cereal, no. There has to be some fruit in there, a glass of milk, perhaps some sort of protein. That way you can call it a complete breakfast. But that is a dangerous lie. A complete breakfast is only a concept. A concept used by corporations to turn a profit, so they can sell you cereal as if it were an actual breakfast. They call it the most important meal of the day, but we know that's a lie. A lie we keep on believing because it's safe and comforting. In the old time, there weren't any breakfasts. There was only the endless hunger, driving us ever forward. But we've lost that. We've lost that. And that is why our species is doomed to fail every time we ever get close to achieving something. Breakfast.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna give you Spice Melange Toast Crunch.
The taste you can see.
So what do you think of our children? I think they're 9 now?
Children? Children. What greater
Okay,
symptom of
nope,
the fall
I'm out.
Chani? Hey, Chani. Hello? Are you still in there? Don't you want to try and possess Ganima so that we can talk you out of it? No? Alright. I guess we'll just protect you against abomination or whatever. Muad'Dib out.
Has she read Dune?
No.
That should be confusing for her.
I hope so. Leto's also going to embrace something called the Golden Path. I think I mentioned that, but I didn't
He
mention it
wavers
last
on that
time.
for a lot longer than I remember. But he's thinking about it.
There is a point where he commits to it fully, though. And
Yeah.
like all good decisions, it was made while under the influence of some pretty heavy drugs.
Well, like all government decisions at any rate. Am I right, guys? Topical.
So yeah, that's where we're at. That was the last thing we talked about. We haven't pulled the trigger on that tiger attack.
Pull the trigger. Insert a like,
Roar!
Tony the tiger comes flying at him. You're gonna die.
Your flesh will taste great!
So they come up with an ingenious tiger killing plan of the tiger is going to come running at me, and then I am going to run into a crevice that a small child can fit into, but a tiger cannot. And then when the tiger comes to look in the crevice, I'm going to stab it in the face.
And the blade is poisoned, so victory is ours. It's, you know, as dumb as that plan is, it was the catalyst for a bunch of other people's plans, as I said the first episode. Obviously, Leto and Ganima use it to fake Leto's death so he can travel to Jacurudo, whatever. Yeah. And Jessica uses this plan to get Leto to do some heavy space drugs. And Alia uses this plan. By the way, Alia thinks that she's the one who's being targeted, because that's all she can think about is herself. But she uses this plan in order to get Ganima basically under house arrest, and then have her swear a blood oath against Faradin, because Ganima can convince herself that Leto is dead and believe it. And then Faradin uses this plan to get rid of his mother and assert his role as the leader of House Carino. So everyone else profits from this tiger attack, this Laza tiger attack, but Lady Wencesia does not.
Lady Wencesia is a mean, spiteful idiot, and she's intended to be, right? I mean, I'm not just saying that. She is.
Yes. She comes off to me as someone who thinks she's way smarter than she actually is.
Like all royalty.
So when she's like, tigers, yes, that's ingenious. They'll never be able to track a tiger breed specific to our own planet to us. Like, genius. They'll never get us.
All royalty are just inbred monsters that come up with nothing but dumb ideas.
And they're surrounded by a bunch of idiot yes men who will be like, yep, brilliant, yep. Definitely, tigers are the way to go, princess. That's why you are in command by birthright, and I am just your loyal guard. And I guess her plan would be like, hey, Alia, really sorry that the twins were eaten by tigers. That's weird, right? Anyway, since you're not technically next in line for the throne, you want to marry my son?
I think her plan was that there are a variety of houses minor that are on the rise that would like to piggyback.
If that was a thing that ever comes up later on. Yeah, that's kind of the thought I had.
A couple of things. I mean, just to clean up a little bit of that, you might be wondering, how do two kids outrun a tiger? And the answer is not very well, because Ganima gets pretty fucked up. And that's why
she goes back.
Yeah, it cements that Leto has to be the one to go on.
Yeah.
And she has to convince herself, she has to hypnotize herself, essentially, lock away those portions of her memory that remember Leto getting away. Because if you don't remember, Dune has truthsayers who can remember, or who can detect any lie, no matter who you are.
And Sook doctors that cannot override their conditioning.
Right, but the truthsayers actually work. As we've established, not every plan in Dune is a good plan. One thing I wanted to ask you...
Which is good. You gotta have dumb plans in there, because that's how reality works.
So, one thing I wanted to ask you, though. Dumb as the tiger plan is, you did just illustrate how it sets off a complicated chain of political events throughout the Empire.
Yeah, it's the match that ignites the powder keg.
Is this one of the plans within plans that you liked in this book, as opposed to the other books where you thought they were dumb?
Yes. No, I like the fact that either they knew it was coming, like the twins knew this was going to happen, or people were able to take advantage of the situation to further their own goals, like how Alia was able to hatch a scheme to basically get rid of Ganima and Faradin, and basically claim all of the power for herself.
Yeah, I think this is a case where Frank Herbert's writing did improve, because we have what is admittedly a stupid plan. But it is a stupid plan within the context of the book, and then it sparks a series of complicated plans that are believable and not stupid, except for maybe Alia's. And even Alia's is like, we know Alia's plan is stupid because Alia is losing her mind.
Well, Alia's plan actually almost works, too. Like, the whole book, she comes off as a crazy idiot who, like, she can't see the bigger picture. It's always, people are coming after me, everyone around me is betraying me, except for the fat jiggling man in my head who keeps wanting me to bed younger and younger boys. I can trust him, I guess. But she actually almost succeeds right at the end because everyone else happens to fail.
Well, she has the advantage of the throne, too. All Alia has to do is maintain, whereas other people have to take an active stance and win something. So she's playing defense, everybody else is playing offense. But yeah, I like that, and I'm glad that one worked for you.
Yeah, I like that. So, there's one other thing we did not mention during Leto and Jessica's conversation.
Okay.
So, jumping back before these tigers, I wanted to mention this. So, Leto is kind of leading Jessica to a certain place in talking with her.
Yeah.
And it ends with him basically saying, Alia's going to turn on you. You know this, right? She's going to attempt to kidnap you, and you should let it happen so that you can take advantage. And I think she basically takes it as a suggestion. Like, it's an idea that's implanted in her head that I should allow myself to be kidnapped in order to execute one of my own plans.
Yeah, and I think he did that in a particularly skillful way, because he allowed Jessica to retain some semblance of control by telling her she should allow herself to be kidnapped, and she would know when to go along with the plan.
Yeah.
He did plant that seed that you're going to realize I'm right, all on your own. And so I know he probably did that because he did know that she would figure it out, but that was a rare moment for Leto of allowing somebody to accept his help gracefully. Like he kind of gives her ego a way out. Well, and that's the huge problem with Leto. Leto's life is made a little bit harder by his absolute arrogance. And it's not just that he's like pre-born abomination fodder, because Ganima has that same problem, and Ganima isn't as much of an asshole. But there is also the added problem of when they play the father-mother game, Ganima has a hard time coming back, which I'm sure you've illustrated. And that's partly because of the whole Kwisatz Haderach thing from the first book, where the ancestral memory seems to be more dangerous for women. They never really explain why, but there's something about it. There's something about it that it's easier for women to learn the Bene Gesserit techniques in the first place, but then it's harder to make full use of the ancestral memories. And I don't know if it's like if he's trying to say it's like an empathy thing. I mean, it is very like gendered and problematic from that route. It's a little bit of a product of its time in that regard, but it's interesting. It's just an interesting point that I think that Leto is not as cautious of the power because he's not having as hard a time controlling it, and Ganima's caution maybe makes her a little bit more empathetic and aware of her vulnerabilities and other people's vulnerabilities. And it's interesting that they're developing, because there's a big deal made when they go their separate ways that from this point on, their lives are not going to be shared. From this point on, they diverge. But I think they've already started to diverge. And I don't know if Frank Herbert even realized that as he was writing it, that their own experiences dealing with power are already different.
Well, we'll have to go and raid his second addition to his house to see if he left any notes on that.
Yeah. It's a subtlety. Frank Herbert is all about the subtleties. I think one of the fun things to do to move on would be, do you want to jump to the scene where Alia just calls Jessica out? Or Jessica calls Alia out, I mean? Or is there anything else you want to talk about in between that?
No, we could talk about Farad'n in more depth after this and kind of lump all of his story together. We are covering this out of order. It jumps between everyone, and I think it's better that way. But it's harder, like, you don't want to listen to us be like, yeah. And then Farad'n talk to the prophet, or the preacher.
So, I don't think, neither one of us is coming to this cold. Like, you already saw the show, and you've already talked to me about it a bunch. So you came into this with all the spoilers. But
yeah, the show was not a good spoiler.
Right, but you kind of knew what to look for, is what I'm saying. And if you don't, like, I got a lot more out of this the second time I read it for the podcast than I did the first time I read it. Eventually, God Emperor of Dune makes painfully explicit what Leto was doing in this book, but the clues are all there. It's just kind of hard to read the first time because Frank Herbert wanders so much into just like generalized statements about politics and random nonsense. But I think the way we're trying to cover it for you guys is I'm giving you what you need to know to understand the plot in the order that it makes the most sense, because it doesn't appear in that order in the book.
Right.
Bouncing back to Farad'n right now is a distraction meant to sort of throw you off track. On purpose. I think Frank Herbert is trying to disorient you, but for the purposes of having a conversation.
Like the houses minor, I don't think they're all that important, but you don't know that at this point, except I did because it's Frank Herbert. I mean,
yeah, you don't know if there's going to be a big. You still don't really know what Dune is. You don't know if there's going to be a big space war.
I thought that there was going to be a ground war. I think that there is an allusion to like some maybe like rioting, but it never turns into like a full-on civil war on Dune.
And I don't want to bring this up just to bash one more time, but I will say that this is a big difference between the Frank Herbert and Brian Herbert books, in that Frank Herbert, when there is a battle, he just says there was a battle. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
These are the winners, these are the losers. I don't care about battles. I'm here for the subtlety of political machinations and religion and all this philosophical junk. Whereas Brian Herbert is like, pew pew lasers, pew pew, karate, spaceships. And that's fine. I just find it to be very generic.
Yeah, Dune is definitely not generic.
No, not always a compliment. It is like nothing else I've ever read. And that's probably because people who write like this have a hard time getting published.
So yeah, we'll go. So Jessica goes back to the city after this, and you want to be Jessica?
Yeah, I could be Jessica.
I can be Alia. I'm gonna start jiggling, but don't pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to that. I'm
Jessica. Yeah, I'm Jessica. I've noticed a slight jiggling in Alia. You disgust me. I'm barely veiling my disgust towards you.
I'm sitting in the masculine position. I'm
masculine.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, have you been taken over by a sudden urge for masculinity? Maybe like a masculine personality inside your brain?
Hey, look at that! there's someone coming in here who you're gonna pass judgment on. Atreides' judgment, which makes me sick. I mean, Atreides' judgment, yay.
Okay.
Awesome. This is, Mohandas? Is that it?
Yeah, it's a guy named Tagir Mohandas, who is somehow blonde.
Hey,
But go on.
Shawnee somehow had red hair.
Yeah.
That's not at all how I imagined her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Frank was a little Eurocentric when he populated this desert planet, but okay.
He talks some mad shit on the Atreides. So, you gonna kill him? You gonna kill him? He wants to go and sing for Faradin's court. We should probably kill him anyway, just out of principle, because fuck that guy, right? You're pausing. You're pausing instead of killing him.
I'm pausing because
Do you want me to
don't-
do it?
No. First off, I will ask you what he said because I'm seeing on the docket here that the reason he's here is he asked us for money because
Yeah.
he lost all his money and he needs to get off planet.
Yeah. And
I don't think he
Probably-
said anything about us.
but he does. Because he starts singing a song about the Atreides and how he
Okay.
calls me the female death spirit who walks without feet. You know what? You know how hard it is to be me? You know how hard it is to be me?
I thought
Guards,
you were
bring
going
me
to
a bucket of chicken. I need to stress eat. Thanks a lot, Jessica.
I really thought you were going to ask me, do I know how hard it is to walk without feet? You know, Alia, I think maybe sometimes a song about you being kind of a terrible person might be refreshing and might serve to remind you not to be a terrible person. I slapped that bucket of chicken out of your hand.
You bitch. First of all, okay, I am like the highest of high priest. You know, I'm the sister of like God, right? That makes me a goddess.
I'm the
So,
mother of God.
I'm not a terrible person.
I'm your mother.
Yeah, you could have fooled me.
That's how it is. That's how it is. Okay. And I like to picture like Mohandas is down there like, this isn't really about my song anymore, is it? They're just kind of doing their own thing. Me back as Jessica, be like, you know what, Alia? I like this guy's song. I think maybe there's a little bit of truth in this guy's song. I think maybe somewhere along the line, you lost your way.
You know, you're right. We should definitely give him his money. I'll have my guards go personally deliver him this money in that room off to the side over there with the ketchup stains on the outside.
I'm gonna toss him. I'm gonna toss him
Chickle.
$20 out of my own wallet. And be like, here you go. Get out of here.
Fine. Send him to Faradin. I don't even care. I didn't even want to have him executed, okay? Chickle.
I thought we were just determining whether or not to give him money.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I wanted to give him money anyway. That's what I was saying. What
then pay
what
me
did you
back.
hear me say? We'll get right on that.
Okay, I'll submit
Sure.
an expense report.
You please do. We have an amazing revenue service around here.
Is there anyone else you would like me to judge?
Yeah, there's a siege, a nabe? Is that how you say it?
I was saying Naib, but
A naive. It's a little Alia joke for you. What an ingenious joke.
are you jiggling?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay.
think I-
Sometimes I like to jiggle.
I think I saw you.
Sometimes I like to indulge a little bit.
I mean, that's not very in keeping with your Bene Gesserit Pranabindu teachings. Like, that's the exact opposite. You shouldn't indulge, but maybe later. We'll talk about this later. Bring in
All right.
the Naib.
Get Gadeen Al-Fali?
I would think my Fremen daughter would know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I do. Definitely. Me, your Fremen daughter. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. Don't question it.
Okay, so I think I'll ask this guy. Naib, what brings you here?
I was one of Muad'Dib's death commandos, and I am here concerning a matter of the desert.
My God,
Matter of the desert.
a matter of the desert.
Whatever.
My ladies, don't listen to this man. He comes under false pretenses.
And then the dude just backhands that guy. And then I say something in what might be Arabic.
The Qadi Salaf will not let me be silenced. If I do not slay those who interfere, others will slay them.
No, let me back up. Somebody shoots at him. Yeah, this is what happens. So he comes here under false pretenses, right? And then that guy backhands the priest, right? And then
I'm holding up a hand sign. It's me just flipping him off, but that's the secret gestured hand sign to have someone fire a bullet kind of at him, but really aimed at Jessica.
And then I leap out of my chair. You should probably like high pitch my voice or something. I leap out of my chair, matrix dodging bullets as I go. And then the Naib, he grabs the guy who shot the gun and he just breaks his neck with one hand. Such a badass.
No, he doesn't break his neck. He crushes his larynx.
I, the Lady Jessica, stand up and I say to the nearby priests, if he dies, you die.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And I'm like, you die. And then I tell that guy, guy, what are you doing? You're killing the dude. We should have questioned him. And that's when he's like,
Prison rules.
but you were not the target, Naib. I was the target. And then I show him the hole from where I matrix dodged, but it did catch my flowing robes. Now, I will hear what this Naib has to say.
You should execute him at once. Kill
Why
him.
would I execute?
He's clearly telling lies, even though he said nothing about the desert yet. There will always be worms out in the desert.
What is all this about the worms?
Kill them! Get them! Get them! Get them! And then get me a bucket of chicken and a boy.
So the Fennec is like,
My lady, do you understand that water kills sandworms, right? Like, you were at the spice orgy, you saw us do that. Like, you saw us, take that baby worm and we just stick its head under until the bubbles stop coming out.
I remember that. I was but a wee girl at the time, and by girl I mean fetus. I was a fetus at the time.
I remember it too, because I was the one who you were inside. Shut up. Go on.
Right. So, water, poison, worm. We got that, right? Good. So, y'all are terraforming Arrakis, right? It's raining in the desert.
I mean, oh no, not that. That'd be really bad.
Also, as previously established, worm equals spice. So, follow me here. Rain plus worm equal no spice. Took us most of the afternoon to figure that one out, and the rest of the evening to make sure it jived with all our other mathematical proofs. But we are pretty certain the entire spice production is going to collapse.
I don't see anything wrong with this. Off with their heads.
Did you know about this? Wait, off with their heads? Whose
What?
heads?
Hey, so funny story, Mom.
You know what, Alia? Funny story for you. Ollie is an abomination, guys. Did you all know that? Did you all know Ollie is an abomination? She's no daughter of mine.
What?
Disown her.
Alia is some sort of ingenious master planner. Hey, do you remember that time when I killed your husband? That's right, Mom or daughter.
I give you 2 double thumbs up and a narrowing of the eyes, and then I run out the door. Naib, keep up, man. Keep up. We gotta go. Shield me with your body. And Jessica runs all the way into the desert.
That's what she does. and Alia's like, oh, fuck. Someone bring me a boy and some chicken.
In that order.
And will someone hurry up and get me one of those sweet repulsor lifts? I need one of those so I can move around without getting my weight in the way.
Not one of our better skits, but I think you can edit that into something entertaining. It especially was bad because neither one of us remembered what happened. But that's the gist of it. Whatever Nate just edited that mess into, that's the gist of it.
Hey, we got the gist of it. Alia wanted to kill everybody, basically, and jiggled a whole bunch, and Jessica was like, I gotta go.
So there is something I want to ask you about.
Is it weird that Alia... So let's before you ask me that, let's introduce Duncan Idaho again, because he's already showed up in the book, right? And Duncan Idaho immediately is like, okay, that's not Alia. The woman I love is dead. That sucks. And he's really torn up about it. And
Alia only eats grilled chicken. And she tends to fuck adult men, mostly me. Mentat computation. Alia's possessed. Prime computation. My wife's dead.
My God, there's only one man that I knew who ate this much fried chicken. So he figures that out pretty quick, and then Alia's like, I need you to go, kidnap my mom. Don't hurt her. Don't hurt her. Definitely don't accidentally trip and, fall knife first into her neck. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But Alia, what if I hurt her?
She'll be fine.
No, but
you just
what if I hurt her? Wink, wink.
Yeah. You know what? I would be appalled at that. Wink, wink. Definitely don't hurt her. Definitely don't orchestrate an accident. You feel me?
This is arguably the most depressing day of Duncan Idaho's life. Duncan Idaho speaks in the third person.
So she sends him to do that, and then he's going out to the siege to get her, and then she's like, wait, no, come back, I need you in the council. Then she just tries to kill Jessica anyway. Hey, it's Editor Nate, and I think the reason that this struck me so hard when we were recording, and it didn't really matter to Ben, is that as a nurse, this happened to me all the time. It was like, hey, Nate, go do this. Oh, wait, no, actually, first you have to go see this. Oh, wait, actually, first, do you want to do the vaccine? Wait, no, go to the vaccine clinic, but at our other clinic. But no, first you gotta go to...
Okay. I'm glad we took that detour before you answered my question.
I needed to introduce what Duncan was doing, because I feel like he's shown up already, and we just haven't mentioned him. He just keeps being sent from point A to point B to point C, and just always getting recalled. Anyway, what question do you have?
My question is, with all of, first off, I know he didn't intend this, but second, do you find it interesting, or were you surprised that the reveal to everyone that Alia is in fact possessed came barely a third of the way into the book?
and nobody really pays any attention to it, and most of the time, like later when Ganima is back, they're like, oh yeah, they just had a minor misunderstanding with a bunch of witnesses and attempted murder. Don't think about that last. They just had a little argument, and Jessica fled for her life.
after somebody fired 3 shots at her. Yeah. And then a few on the way out.
Yeah, it was just a minor misunderstanding. So...
And then more as she ran through the streets.
there were a lot of bullets flying every which way.
And then they chased her into the desert, and now Stilgar is some kind of neutral ground between 2 warring factions of Fremen. But it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, the reveal that she is an abomination, I liked that it came so early because, you know what I really didn't like about the first Dune book? Ben?
Yes, Nate?
It was, in chapter 2, the Baron is like, I found a way to get rid of the Sook Doctor conditioning, and then he's going to betray him. And then 4 different people are like, hey, there's a traitor in our midst. Hey, there's a traitor in our midst. Hey, I was just out in the desert, and, like, my Fremen contact says there's a traitor in the midst. Hey, whoa, what's going on here? There's a hidden message in this room that says there's a traitor in your midst. I'm really glad that he pulled the trigger on that, because every character, basically, except for fucking Stilgar, every character was basically like, yeah, Alia's acting really weird and different. And, oh, she's looking a lot like the Baron now. Like,
I think even Stilgar was in on it.
Morphed into the Baron. Stilgar, I don't know about that.
Well, Leto warns him. I mean, Leto puts it in his head.
Well, yeah, he puts it in his head, but later on, Duncan and Stilgar are talking way later in the book, and Duncan's like, you gotta put her on the trial of the abomination trial. Like, you've got to make her do it. And Stilgar's like, well, I don't know about that. You say that she's possessed, but, like, is she?
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, Stilgar, okay. I did like that there were consequences from this. Because one of the things we're saying, it's not that nobody cares that Jessica openly accuses Alia of being an abomination. This is really... There was already a Fremen civil war brewing, but right. This is what kind of kicks it off and lends legitimacy to it. And from that point on, Stilgar goes neutral. Stilgar becomes the Fremen Switzerland.
Tell my wife I said hello.
Yes.
He goes from a level 2 to a level 3 neutral nation.
Assists the rebel Fremen in submitting a list of demands, and on that list of demands is that Alia undergo the trial, which Alia agrees to do, but not right now.
Yes, I'll undergo your little trial after you're all dead.
See, Princess Arulin here, Alia, I feel like maybe if you didn't do that muhahaha bit, like, people would be more amenable to you.
Shut the hell up, Arulin. Go write your book, but don't actually write it. You stay in this council, idiot.
Just try to help. And everybody's mean to me. And I'm desirable. I'm not childless, you're childless.
You'd be way more desirable as a little boy. I mean, you'd be way more desirable. No, I you know what? I stand by that first statement.
And Alia, for reals though, like this. No, you know what? Stilgar knows more about it than Arulin does. I'll put it that way.
That is true. Arulin.
What? I don't know what she was doing this whole time.
At one point, Arulin is like, "Look, Alia, she's just stressed. Okay, she's just a little tired." And Ganima thinks like, "Wow, Alia must have done some sort of really awful witchery to her to put her under the spell."
Ganima basically thinks like, what the fuck did Alia do to you? Like, yeah, how gaslit are you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think Arulin is just like, I'm peacing out. Like,
Arulin's quitting the Arcane Council. She's like, I'm going home at 5. I'm not coming back till Monday. I don't care. She can eat all the fried chicken she wants. I don't care.
That's true. That is basically it.
Because you actually like her rolling in this one. You know, you feel bad for her. Because
I feel real bad for her.
She's just trying to help.
Like we said last time, she keeps getting dragged into meetings that no one wants her in, but they still expect her to be there.
Yeah, it's like I can't yell at the person I want to yell at because that person's politically powerful. Somebody bring in a ruling so I can just work this out real quick.
She's like a stress pillow that you're supposed to scream into and punch a whole bunch. Oh yeah, poor Rulin.
Yeah. But that conversation, I believe, is what prompts the kidnapping, right? Because everybody winds up at Siege Tabor with Stilgar. Like Jessica and Duncan.
No, Jessica's in the siege with the guy she ran out with.
And
Duncan
yeah,
arrives
that's right.
there.
She doesn't make it all... Yeah, sorry. No, I thought they wound up in Tabor, but you're right.
No, they're at the other siege that is not neutral. And Duncan comes in and is like, hey, I've got a plan. Trust me. Let's go. Let's go in the little ornithopter thing, and definitely I'm not gonna take you to Slisskunda. Got him! Ha ha!
Yeah, he like locks her into the seatbelt. Yeah. But Jessica, she just can't help herself, can she? Like, she really does just piss off everyone she encounters.
You know what's weird, Ben? You have to tell me if I missed this or if Frank Herbert just made it up.
Okay.
Jessica and Duncan are having a conversation, and Jessica's like, yeah, Duncan, you got with Alia because she reminds you of a younger version of me, and I think
exactly
I highlighted that and went, huh? Was this a thing? What?
I think this is in that beginning part of Dune that maybe your eyes started to glaze over a bit.
Yeah.
Jessica definitely notices Duncan Idaho checking her out. I don't think he ever makes a move on her, but it's one of those things where in her Bene Gesserit senses, she notices that, like, yes, he's loyal to the Duke. No, he would not do anything. He would not act on those desires.
In
but
my ancient Bene Gesserit training, I can see that you either have a flagpole in your loins, or you're just happy to see me.
But yeah, the word loins is used way too much in this book. If I could have one, I know you've already written your erotica and I'm in the process of editing it, but like, in addition, I got 2 things I absolutely can't stand.
Flesh and loins?
No, I hate the word flesh.
Oh, and food.
And I hate sex being compared to eating.
Yum.
Even that is enough. I was going to say loins right up there. I can't do it. I don't know why. Could have done with less of the loins. Especially from Leto.
Yeah.
Especially from Leto. Please stop talking about your loins.
One uses power by grasping it lightly. To grasp too strongly is to be taken over by power and thus become its victim. My note there says, tell that to Joseph Stalin.
Why would you juxtapose that quote with loins?
I'm trying to get back on track. One
Okay,
I'll grabs hold of the fleshy man.
I'll try to think about Joseph Stalin. Just let's move on. Mustaches, hats, gulags, food shortages.
That's why the Fremens had the still suits. Joseph Stalin took all their water.
Well, he definitely would have taken those still suits too and sold them for machinery.
moist with the musky smell of cat. Why do I highlight this shit, Ben? Why do I
Where are you even in the book?
I'm scrolling through my notes. I think that was when they were stabbing the cat in the face. So where do we want to go? Do we want to go to Salusa Secundus, which is Salusa Secundus, sorry, where that's where Jessica and Duncan are going, and that's where we're going to hear the aftermath of that brilliant tiger plan? Or do we want to go back to Leto, or do we want to finish out with Ganima?
I think we should go to Salusa Secundus, and I would like to be Faradin, and you can be Wincesia, because you sound more like Wincesia.
Yes, I sound like an old woman who smoked about 4 packs every day for the last 20 years.
Right, that's why I want you to be Wincesia. So,
Rodden, boy.
Yeah, Faradin come bursting in just holding a piece of paper. And I'm like, what the fuck is this I see about tiger attacks on Arrakis?
Whoa, that's crazy, right? I didn't know they could support tigers. Crazy.
They can't. They can't. The newspaper reporter explicitly says that the bodies of the dead tigers are clearly Laza tigers native to Salusa Secundus, and the phone has just been ringing off the hook with people wanting to know what my comment on that is.
Just say no comment? You didn't know anything of what happened, which is probably nothing. Right? Right, guys? Nothing happened.
Okay, Mom.
Yes,
I'm gonna ask you this once.
Yes, son.
I'm gonna ask you this once. Did you send fucking tigers to Arrakis to kill those children?
Okay. Rod, my boy. It's time we have a hard conversation. See, I'm getting old in my years, and what I really want is for you to give me a throne that you can sit on, and maybe have some royal grandchildren. But, like, definitely the throne, and those kids, they're just kind of in the way. And sometimes tiger accidents happen where tigers
they don't happen.
Okay.
They don't happen. Tigers don't live in the desert, Mom.
Well, let's just say that those tigers were specially trained to kill children. Wait, hold on.
How would you do that? How did you train tigers to specially kill children?
Well, funny story about that. You might have heard some rumors that various cities are missing twin children. And
did they have to be twins?
They had to be a really specific type of child.
Okay, you know the children on Arrakis are Fremen, right? They killed both of your tigers. There's witnesses. One of the kids lived.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, hey. If you just give dear old Mom another couple of months, we could get a couple more tigers down to Arrakis. We clean this up. 2 tigers took out 1 kid. I bet 2 more can take out the other, right? We got this. You let dear old Mom help you out.
Mom, I'm gonna need you to clean out your desk. You're fired.
Oh. But don't you need my counsel?
I need you out of here immediately. Tykanik, could you escort Mrs. Carino out, please?
She's just kicking and screaming, "No, you can't do this! I raised you!"
Yeah, you're also fired from literally being my mother. So, bye.
Ungrateful brats!
You are correct in that I am not grateful for you raising tigers to attack my political enemies. Yes. Gratitude is not the emotion I am currently experiencing in the result of your failed James Bond villain plan. What the Yeah, so that's not quite how that goes, but that's essentially.
Yeah.
Again, with the words about book skit, that's the gist.
Yeah, that basically is it. And when Jessica comes to the planet, Jessica's like, I can train you, Faradin, in the Sex Ninja Bene Gesserit ways. And when Seth's like, wait, hold on, no, don't do that. She's gonna try and trick you.
Mom. Did you not hear the word sex ninja? That's, I didn't know that's what I wanted to be when I grew up, but that is exactly what I want to be when I grow up.
Wouldn't you rather be some sort of circus ringleader?
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil, sex ninjas.
Yeah, basically she gets fired and disowned, and then she doesn't show up in the story anymore. You're done. Your part is done. Goodbye.
Faradin has the best arc of any character. Like I said at the beginning, if you wanted to be anyone in this book, you want to be Faradin. Here's what happens to Faradin. He's just this dude who wants to hang out, but his mom keeps trying to kill people with tigers. So eventually he's just like, Mom, fuck off with that tiger shit. And you're like, thank you, Faradin. I was waiting for somebody to say that, and like I'm just sitting here thinking it, but you're saying it. That's point 1 in your favor. Point 2 in your favor, if somebody shows up at my door and offers to teach me how to be a sex ninja, provided I think they actually are a sex ninja and not just a weirdo, I'm going to be like, yeah, I want to do that.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen.
And all his guards are like, well, no, she could be tricking you. And I'm like, what? With sex ninjutsu? That's a trick I'm happy to fall for. Yeah. This is like, guys, win-win. Come on. Tykanik, come on. Be a bro. Because Faradin is just the guy who makes sense in all of this. He's just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. Everybody else has all these weird plans. Leto's like, I'm going to save humanity with my golden path, but it's going to require a deep personal sacrifice. and Kanima's like, I will kill literally everyone who had anything to do with my brother's death at any cost, even the cost of my own life. Meanwhile, Faradin's just over there doing sexy backflips. And you're like, hell yeah, Faradin, you live your best life.
There was one point that I found particularly funny. So, Jessica, do we even need to bring up the preacher talking about Faradin's dreams?
And no, I don't think so.
Okay. I wondered if there was like more to it, but I think it was just detailing like Leto's gonna become a worm man. But yeah, Jessica's like, all right, you need to look at your hands. And
I could be Jessica again if you want to do this.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so Faradin, the first lesson is you look at your hands.
Uh-huh.
And you picture them growing older.
All right, cool. Yep.
And then
they're not changing. They're not changing.
Yeah. No, you need patience.
I'm the most patient man that I know, and they're not changing. And next lesson, I guess, right? Like we're done here.
So keep looking at your hands, right?
Okay.
And then reverse them so that they're your hands when you were an infant.
Okay, they're still not changing. Still not changing.
Again, that's patience. I mean, they're changing for me. I'm looking at my hands, and they're changing.
Yeah, but I am a super patient guy, and like, so they should be changing right away. Why aren't they changing?
I mean, it takes practice. Like, you're trying to learn ancient Bene Gesserit arts.
Yeah, okay, but like, I want to learn them like now. Like now.
Usually it takes training from childhood. And
my God.
You're a 23-year-old history major, so life is going to be a little harder for you.
God, this is just like...
Yeah, look, Faradin, I'm sorry. Joe Biden's not going to come in here and do your lack of imagination forgiveness, okay? This problem isn't going away like your student loans, Faradin.
So yeah, he gets to stare at his hands for like days.
4 to 6 days later.
SpongeBob sound effect.
They changed.
Faradin, it is 3 a.m. and you are in my bedroom.
Yeah, I know, but don't worry, I'm not into you. But they changed. What now? What am I learning now?
Be into me if I wanted you to be into me. I'm desirable. I know I've gotten a little older, but, I'm still fucking the Lady Jessica, okay? People would kill for me, okay? Like, you don't know. I have brought down kingdoms with my beauty, okay? But, okay, so the next... Do some stretches. Jesus fucking Christ, I don't care.
All right, sweet. I'm gonna go do some stretches. I'll see you in the morning. I do like, so...
You just love his enthusiasm. And his, his childlike innocence.
Yeah, he was great. And it did make me think of Star Wars, again, ripping off Dune, when Jessica was like, well, you're kind of a little older, so, it's gonna be harder to train you. But yeah, so Duncan, he drops off Jessica, and then he leaves. He first renounces...
After a suicide attempt.
Well, yeah, suicide attempt. Yeah, no big deal. They patch him up, and
I never did.
They release him.
Let's talk about that, actually. So, at some point, Faradin's talking about, his possibilities here for resolving this Arrakis conflict with the Tigers, what kind of were guild do I pay for mauling your brother to death with a tiger? And they're talking about maybe marrying Alia, and then Faradin's like, "Oh, sorry, Duncan. Sorry, I forgot you were here. Do people do that a lot? Because you don't have a lot of presence."
And he's like, "Guess I'll die."
Yeah, and so he kind of slits his wrist with the wires he's tied up in, and Faradin is just sitting there wondering, why did he do that?
Meanwhile, he's bleeding everywhere. It's like,
Well, because they know he knows, Faradin knows, and Duncan must know that they're not going to let him just kill himself. Somebody's going to fix him up. But Faradin's just sitting there why did he do that? Days later, he's like, but why did he do that?
Still thinking about
it. And I'm like, why did he do that? Do you know why he did that?
Let me bring that one up. This is funny because this one says this quote is, "Most lives are a flight from selfhood," and my note is, Frank Herbert knew about Ernest Cline. All right. Anyway.
I'm trying so hard to let that go.
I will never
let that go. I had to read that.
There's always a bit of foolishness in Duncan. All right, let's see. So I didn't say I was going to accept Alia. That's not why he cut his wrist. Oh, I thought that's what he was doing. I do like that Faradin kind of tries to come off as a simpleton, and everyone's like, don't bullshit me, man. You know that dating Alia, you've heard the reports of all the... She just invented the KFC Famous Bowl with extra spice in it, okay? You know that would be a bad idea.
She's using chicken sandwiches as bread, man. It's just 2 chicken patties with another chicken patty in the middle. It's just 3 chicken patties, but she calls it bread. And then it's just boy after boy after boy, covered in chicken crumbs. And they leave her room looking like they've seen battle. And there's just barbecue sauce everywhere. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? And then Duncan slits his wrists. I get it now.
All right, let's see. At first I thought it was just so Duncan can get out of the bonds, but it's he doesn't do anything.
I literally have no idea why that happened, and that is possibly a me thing. I didn't get what they were doing.
Jessica thinks that Duncan is kind of being foolish, and
he's having his emo face.
And
he's already died once, and now his lady love is...
A few pages later, he goes, "I'm tired. You've no idea how tired I am." And it's yeah...
That does make sense.
Duncan is just you know what? They probably won't let me die, but fuck it. I could see that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just reading too much into it because it's Dune and there's always a meaning within a meaning within a meaning. Yeah, maybe it is just Maybe it is just that simple. It's just a moment of like human weakness from Duncan where he just, can I be done now?
Yeah. Oh, now you're thinking of marrying my wife after my wife has lost her mind and her soul. Great, I'm done.
Now that my wife has been possessed by the world's fattest pedophile, yeah, you know what? I'm out. Outie.
Yeah, I'm done. And then when he doesn't get the sweet release of death, he renounces his loyalty to the Atreides, but he goes to Jessica. He's like, I need you to accept my resignation. You're the closest Atreides I have.
I will not.
I can't move against Alia, which is
you cannot resign. I do not accept.
He gets the better of her, Ben. I don't remember, but I do remember that Jessica's like, shit, I might have to kill him. And she's like moving into position, and he's like, you know, I know what you're doing, right? I'm not going to let you kill me.
There's definitely a dynamic between Jessica and Duncan where Jessica is still thinking of this man as the Duncan Idaho that she knew.
Yes.
But
he's
the Duncan
really hates.
Well, the Duncan she knew was kind of just this, like, not mercenary, but he was this man of action, kind of not a very subtle guy. I don't want to say he was dumb, but he's not subtle.
He did barge in drunkenly on her and say, we think you're the traitor, Jessica, you witch. Oh, God. Oh, I drink way too much spice beer. Oh, God.
Yeah, that does happen. They cut that from the movie. I can't imagine why. But
we're not bullshitting. That was in the book. He does barge in drunk.
Yeah. And it's referenced again here. But yeah, Duncan has since become one of these very subtle planners who, and it's partly because he's a mentat, but it's also partly because he's gotten kind of a taste of the ancestral memory. He only has the memories of his previous life, but he's kind of been inducted into the like deeper mysteries of this universe. So yeah, he's not the man she knew anymore, and she realizes she's underestimating him.
To be fair to him, he or the Atreides is not the house that he used to know.
That's true. Yeah.
That's his point when he's talking with Jessica. He's like, you know, the Atreides rule on Arrakis, not any different from the Beast Raban. It's just as bad. Just maybe for different people, and I'm out.
You know, that's an interesting thing that I think Herbert starts to explore, but then kind of abandons. Because Duncan and Gurney both remark on Atreides fighting Atreides. And for the longest time, the whole Atreides thing has been loyalty. And this is actually something I want to bring up again when we get to Leto's conversation with the preacher. And I know that's a ways off.
That's like a full book off, I feel like, based on our pace.
Yeah, based on our pace. But yeah, it is interesting how we don't get that many glimpses into the outsider's perspective on what's becoming of the Atreides. Because we know that Ollie is possessed. We know that Jessica, like all of the characters who are viewpoint characters, we understand. But how must this look to the people that have served the Atreides loyally for all these years? Who do you side with? Because they're not necessarily following all of this magic nonsense. And the Atreides always dealt like pretty fairly and plainly with people. They didn't used to play all these games.
And that's
but now
why
that's all
the
it
Duke
is.
died.
Well, the Duke died because he walked into a trap having no escape plan whatsoever.
Hey, he knew that the first part of evading a trap is knowing where it is. He fucking nailed it, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. First part of avoiding the trap. And then I saw somebody post a meme, like that Padme meme, like there's a second part, right? Right? And he's just smiling. Yeah, I think that basically takes care of Farad'n for a little bit.
Yep. And then Ganima, she makes her way back to the siege, and I don't know why. So she knows who sent the tigers, obviously. It's a very dumb plan. Everyone else comments on how dumb it was. And
this one guy's wearing a giant vest that says Tiger Controller on it.
He is waiting at the entrance to the siege, and he's hanging out with this girl, and she's like, how do I kill this guy? I could pull out my gat and pop a cap in his ass, but hold on. I have this poison dart. I can throw it in such a way that he'll think that he was just bit by one of those flies that are flying around it. Just shoot him! He dies instantly anyway. I did not understand that, other than it seemed like a Dune thing to do, where it's like, I'm going to subtly kill him even though he dies immediately. And yeah,
I think the reason was she was injured. I don't know how many shots she had, and she had 2 people she had to kill. 'Cause she has to get the woman too. They're both in on it.
Yeah, and I guess what happens is he does slump onto her, and I thought she was gonna like, I'm gonna turn you into my own agent, but the woman's never heard from again, so I assume she's also just dealt with.
Oh no, Ganima comes back and she's like, I'm going to fucking kill everyone.
Revenge rampage!
Yeah, so I'm sure she's dead. Then Stilgar hands Ganima over to Alia, because Alia's like, oh, we gotta protect the twins. You can trust me, Stilgar. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. And he's like, alright, yeah, I'm neutral territory, so, okay, bye. And then they argue a bunch, and Alia's like, look, you have to marry Farad'n, and she's like, I'll kill him. I'll fuck it. As soon as I see him, I'm gonna stab him right in the face. And Alia's like, okay, I can work with that. Yeah, let's do that. And then I think Arulin's like, does she not see that Alia, or that Ganima will kill him?
Arulin is like, but Alia, if you kill him, then it's civil war. Like, all of the other houses are gonna turn on you, and we're already divided, and I don't think that's a fight we can win. And Ganima doesn't care, because she's like, I'll
burn down the galaxy.
Yeah, she's like, blood debt for my brother. I will not allow this to rest. And you kind of understand where Ganima's coming from, but then Arulin's like, okay, well then don't marry him. Like we can't bring him here and execute him. And Ganima's like, okay, then don't bring him here. If you
like,
sign me up to marry this guy, I'm gonna kill him. If you bring him within range of my knife, I am going to kill him.
And Alia is like, no, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And then Arulin is like, okay, what? Look, if it's gonna be that way, can we at least declare like vendetta? I mean, there are like, can we have a duel? Can we
stab him right in the face?
Like, what if we bring him here and assassinate him? That's against the rules. Like, we can't. Like, everybody is going.
I get to invent the rules, Arulin. You just remember that.
And then Alia leaves, and Arulin's like, honestly, Ganima, sometimes it's like I think she's actively trying to sabotage the Atreides.
Yeah, I love that she's like, you're coming so close.
Yeah, even Ganima is like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus
you know
Christ.
Yeah, wow, you're right.
Ganima like puts her hand on Arulin and is like, do you ever think you might be in the wrong book?
Alright, so that wraps up everyone right now, except for our guy Leto, right?
Yep. Leto gets away from the tigers, he hops on a worm, and he starts heading towards Jakarutu.
And
which is also called Fondak by the smugglers. Again, Frank Herbert, I feel like sometimes he just like takes a bag of Scrabble tiles and throws them on the table, and any combination of like consonant, vowel, consonant, he's like, yep,
perfect.
That's a name.
Yep, perfect.
Stilgar. Fondak.
So, it makes me think of Star Wars again. Fondor. Anyway, he finds it, I think, pretty easily.
Well, because the smugglers use a post called Fondak, and he has reasoned that Jakarutu, like Fondak is Jakarutu. They just changed the name. And it faded into legend. Everyone knows where Fondak is, but they don't know that it is Jakarutu.
Okay. I thought he was just like that good. So, all right. So he finds it. And he's like, it doesn't look like anyone's home, but like all the stuff is still here undamaged. And he finds an entrance. He gets distracted and he gets caught in a trap. And here's where we learn.
Like a Looney Tunes net trap.
Yes, it really is. And here's where we learn that, hey, he actually has all the strength and physical power of a 9-year-old. You could just have a big guy grab him instead of training tigers. But whatever.
It does make you wonder, like, was he bluffing when he asked Jessica if she thought she could use that Gom Jabbar? Because, like, I think based on his performance here, like, she might have been able to take him. Like, I give her at least 50-50.
And did you know who this was immediately? Because I knew who it
Gurney?
was immediately. Yeah. I was like, I bet that's Gurney. It's even in my notes. Like, yep, that's Gurney. And it turns out to be Gurney. So, this is where Leto awakens to Namri? Non-bread?
Yeah, I'd call him Namri.
Namri. Vietnamri?
No.
So he plays a bunch of word games with Namri, and Leto's like, this stinks of Bene Gesserit. And you hear Jessica from all the way over in Seleucus Secundus is like, this perfume, it attracts all the men. Now, anyway.
Gotcha, Leto. You're not so smart now, are you, you son of a bitch? Dodge my Gom Jabbar from your fucking net, you little bastard.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why she could not defeat Leto, because he did not have a net thrown on him.
I mean, the net definitely helps. Yeah, like it renders him much more defeatable, certainly.
Yeah. So he successfully wins these word games. I don't know how much you want to talk about, but the end result is...
I don't want to talk about the word games.
Well, no, I don't want to do that either. But Leto, the end result being Leto gets injected with just all of the spice.
Yeah, so Jessica's rationale is kind of what we were talking about in the first episode, in that if Leto, arrogant as he is, son of Paul Atreides, he is at some point going to try the spice agony. This isn't as big of a deal for Ghanima, I don't think, because Ghanima, being female, has an advantage in the spice agony. Women have been, like, Bene Gesserit Reverend Mothers have been doing the spice agony for as long as there have been Bene Gesserit Reverend Mothers. But for a male to do the spice agony, that has been what has always killed Kwisatz Haderach candidates.
Yes.
Paul was the first one to survive it.
Which now is a good time to just briefly mention that Alia technically shouldn't have the memories of her male ancestors, and that's kind of a...
Nor should Ghanima.
Yeah.
I think they described the Kwisatz Haderach as being one who could access the male memory in the first book, and it seems like somewhere along the line, Frank Herbert has expanded what a Kwisatz Haderach is. Now it seems like anyone who is preborn has access to their full ancestral memory, male or female, but the Kwisatz Haderach is the one that has the most prescience. It seems like he changed his mind and made it so that the visions of the future are more important. Because Paul didn't even really talk about his ancestral memory that much.
No, not really.
Jessica's reasoning is that if Leto does not undergo the spice agony, even though he's choosing to abstain from it right now, she reasons that there will come a day where he will attempt it. And she would rather that be done in controlled circumstances, where they can kill him if he goes abomination.
Yep.
Than if he just does it, on his own after he's become emperor and no one can stop him.
Yeah.
Slight miscalculation on Jessica's part. He can still go crazy and no one can stop him. I mean, you didn't put the A-team on this task, is what I'm saying.
Hey now, Gurney's there. He could sing him a sick beat, dog.
Yeah,
just working and working and working. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Gurney Halleck is great if you're like more than 40 miles from a Duncan, Idaho. But you would probably want to put Duncan on that, I think. And Namri is the father of Javid, which is like, Javid like the priest fuckboy everyone hates? Like literally everyone hates?
He's in the pocket of literally everyone. I think he's in the pocket of the Carinos. He's definitely in Alia's. He's in Jessica's almost. Yeah.
He's a quadruple agent, and everyone knows it, and they all just, like, I don't even know if they think they're paying him more. It's just, like, the must-have item of the aristocracy right now is, like, everybody's got to get a Javid.
And there's only one, so we have to share him.
Yeah, and Namri is his dad, so, like, yeah, that guy that is the best.
And he's working for Alia, it turns out.
She probably could have convinced Duncan, Idaho, and Stilgar to do this. And they would have had that shit on lock.
Yeah, but here's the problem with your plan, Ben. Stilgar and Duncan, Idaho, they didn't have a net. That's a fatal flaw in your plan.
and it's after 7 p.m. and the True Value on Arrakis just closed, and there's only one True Value on Arrakis because like it just got populated, and like we don't have a Home Depot. So, yep, that's Namri. We need your net. So
Gurney is only going to kill Leto if he becomes an abomination, whereas Namri is gonna just find an opening and kill him.
Can I tell you what Gurney Halleck reminds me of?
Patrick Stewart?
No. No, he reminds me of you. I feel Jessica told Gurney Halleck all the signs to look for in an abomination and exactly when to kill Leto or let him go.
Right.
And Gurney really fucking struggles with those instructions. And I feel like this is me like trying to tell you how to log into the blog.
I don't understand.
That's
Give
my
me
point.
more specific instructions.
Yeah. So for Nate to log into the blog,
this is like alien technology here.
Yeah. Every time this is just behind the scenes. I'm just going to say this for the listener. Every time Nate wants to write a blog article, he either sends it to me to post on his behalf, or I have to tell him the link to log in, tell him what his account name is. Then he's like, "Oh, and I don't know my password." And it happens not figuratively, literally every time. Also,
yeah, sounds about right.
Nate has recently been very frustrated with the fact that he needs to turn the power on for his microphone.
It should just start when I plug it into the computer, Ben.
Right, and so these are the kinds of phone calls I imagine Jessica getting on Salusa Secondus. Like, okay, I injected him with the spice. And I'm like, okay, is he showing any signs of abomination? Well,
What?
I mean, his eyes are closed. I was like, but like, is he talking? Like, is he eating chicken? Is he going after boys? I mean, I guess he's a boy, so really the chicken is what we need to look for here. And
Well, I
you're
forgot
like,
to bring the plate of chicken.
You're like, I don't know.
guess-
We don't have any chicken here. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have any chicken here? Like, that's exactly what I told you to look for. And you're like, could we feed him something else? And I was like, well, yeah, you could feed him something else. Like, is he doing anything weird? And you're like, no, he's just sitting there. And I'm like, okay, well then, yep, just keep giving him spice. How much spice should I give him? Just fucking throw it at him and whatever sticks. That's how much spice you give him.
Hey, Jessica. Yeah, some bad news. Leto escaped. Pretty
Yeah,
easily.
fucking course he did. A fucking course he did. You know what? Faradin thinks I'm attractive. Think about that, Gurney.
He doesn't have
Your
scars
name is
like I do.
Your name is a thing they carry sick people in. You weird Balisette player. I hate you. And I never liked any of your stupid songs.
You didn't like the song about toiling away the Harkonnen way? Come on, that was a hit.
Oh no, I got a better question for you. How did he get out of the net, Gurney?
Well, we let him out. I mean, obviously.
Why?
Well, we had him in a room that was guarded by some top men.
The whole reason we went to Namri's house was because he had a net.
I was that really why we came here?
You know his one weakness is a net.
Well, we can get another net in the morning when the True Value opens.
He's not there to put in the net, is he, when the True Value opens?
We'll just need to make a new trap. How hard could it be?
I don't know. How powerful has he become from all the spice you've been shooting into him?
Like on a scale of like 1 to 10 or something? I don't know, like a 6 or 7? I didn't look at him for the last several hours and several spice
Did
tricks.
he look like an abomination before he left?
I mean, he kind of looked like a kid who was more than a kid. Is that an abomination? You're gonna have to describe what
Kind
an
of.
abomination is.
Yes, kind of.
Okay, well, I mean, we could probably get him again, right?
Okay, but you at least took the ring that fires the nukes from him, right?
I mean, yeah, obviously we took it from him.
Show me the ring. Show me the ring, Gurney.
Well, I gave it back to him, though.
Why would you give it back to him, Gurney?
I mean, it's his property. It felt
What
wrong
if he
to just keep it.
What if he nukes us, Gurney?
Well, you win some, you lose some.
I think a nuclear holocaust is just kind of a lose some, Gurney.
Well, what if we get like a really big net for the nukes? Huh, she hung up on me. That's weird. Alright, that's where we're going to end it for today. Jessica and Alia have shown each other their hands. Duncan is going to be returning to Arrakis. Faradin is a sex ninja now. And Leto has just escaped from Jakaruttu. Where will this tale go for a conclusion? Nobody knows, except for me. Because of my prescient visions. Here's a hint. It involves Worm Boy. If you want to support this podcast, you could do that now on our Patreon. We're holding a poll to see what horror bullshit we're going to be reading in October. That is at patreon.com/WABpod. Definitely don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WABpod, Instagram at Words About Books Podcast, and our blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. If you have a suggestion for what you want us to read, go ahead and shoot us a DM, and we might put it up for a vote on our Patreon. Anyway, I'm going to go submerge myself in a mixture of cinnamon, nutmeg, and spice melange. I'll see you in a week when we finish Children of Dune.
The saga of Dune was far from over.
Sand trout.
How did that happen? Yo ho ho, he took a bite of
Spice agony.
took a bite of
Spice